You can keep eating if you want, I think.
No, I don't want people to watch me eat.
Yeah. So today, I wanted to start things off a little bit different, and I wanted to start things off with our questions from Reddit
Oh,
because, yeah, I have an idea, I have a plan, I have a plot, if you will. But
let
I think
me
that'll be fun.
let me pull them up. Because we only
Okay.
did the one last time that was the therapist matched with someone on Bumble.
Yeah, that was bizarre and fun. And I kind of want to write a little like Hallmark romance about that. Like, what do you do if you're in a small town and you don't have a lot of people your age and
So
one of the cute ones is your therapist? I feel
we
like,
actually go through like overlap with like people. Oh my gosh, my dog just like brought something from the outdoors. I don't know what she's doing. Um, it's a piece of a broken light. But we actually go through that in grad school, um, because there are people that are in small towns, and if relationships overlap, not romantic, excuse me, not romantic relationships, but like say your therapist is also like your mechanic or stuff like that, or not your therapist, your client is also your mechanic.
yeah, or your
So
client is also like your doctor, your client is your
yes,
waitress.
exactly. Yeah, so really any overlap, because I mean, there are some places like you said that you can't not have that happen. The dating thing, obviously that's going to be hard, but like there is that like 2-year waiting period. Um so cuz even like friendships are also weird. Um
Hmm.
but that'd be one way that like I feel like if you're in a small town, if you wanted to be friends with someone for the 2 years and keep it platonic, and then when 2 years is up, start dating, like that's one one thing. That's the only way I can think in my head to like keep in contact. But yeah, I think if someone wanted to report that, they could definitely still
I
report
think that
that.
would be a fun novel, like a very
Oh,
slow burn where you
I
realize that
definitely
you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this person, and then you just kind of
hypothetically,
dump them as your
yeah, I
therapist.
love that. I love that kind of trope, you know?
And
I
like
love
they
the
don't know, they just
professor.
think you didn't like them, but like you're
Yeah.
waiting the 2 years until you can finally ask them out.
Yeah, I love like the power differential in a book or a movie like that. Like the professor kind of like, oh, the really hot professor, and like doesn't really act like he notices you like you just said, and it's like that's just such a fun it's a fun trope.
It is a fun trope. Maybe not fun in like an actual real life situation.
No, no. Like that, I mean, but that's the fun thing about fantasy.
Yeah.
And that's I because I can't remember what I was listening to. It was like another podcast that was going over Reddit stories, and this girl was literally like listening to Twilight, and the boyfriend was like, you like sexy male voices, and like, and she's like, I would never want this to be my life. Like that's what fantasy is for. Like you're like overthinking, overreacting to me listening to an audiobook. And yeah, because I love the idea of like the therapist client like little thing in
Yeah.
fantasy because it's
Yeah. I
fun.
mean, like all my favorite fictional relationships have a weird power dynamic. Like Grey's
Exactly.
Anatomy and like Meredith and McDreamy. Like,
My God, yes.
no, you should definitely not marry your intern. 100%
Yeah.
you should never marry your intern.
No, definitely
But I'm
not.
really glad that they got married.
And that one is weird because they also met before they knew they
Yeah.
were intern. So that's like the other part that's like also because what if you had that same scenario with a therapist and a client? Like you met someone out, they had their session booked, you hadn't actually met them in person yet as a
And
client,
then you
and
pick
you
them up
meet
at a
them at a
bar and then
bar, and you guys like sleep together or something. I mean, obviously, like the therapist will probably be like, okay, you can't like be
You
my
know, I
client.
think it's if you're a therapist in a small town, you're really kind of in a tight spot if you want to be dating
Yeah,
because you either have to find the people, you're either stuck with the people who like will never go to therapy and those are the people you can date, or you can date the people
yeah.
who like don't need therapy, which I don't know if that's anyone.
Don't need therapy. Yeah.
But like, oh, so you're just kind of like stuck with the ones who are just
Hmm.
like never gonna go to therapy.
Yes. Oh, also, I just realized we didn't do our little intro.
Our
Um,
intro.
yeah,
Yeah.
therapist
Hello.
versus life coach.
Therapist
Hello.
versus life coach. I'm a life coach.
And your name is Megan.
Danny, my name is Megan Gillman. I'm a life coach.
And I am Danielle Pereda, and I'm a therapist. Hello. Good
We're here to
afternoon.
talk about a lot of just issues around mental health and wellness and personal development and self improvement. And also to gossip a little bit about people we don't know on Reddit and
Oh my
their
God.
queries.
Okay, so do you want me to like dive in? I have
Yeah,
one
let's
pulled.
let's go for this first.
Okay, so this one, it's from r slash advice. So this one isn't ask a therapist. It's the advice subreddit. So this one says, my boyfriend implied our daughter isn't safe with me because of my past sexual curiosity. Yeah. Okay. So it
Okay.
says, I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 21 male, have a 5-month-old daughter together. Yesterday, we were having a conversation about sexual orientations and past experiences. I told him that I'm straight, but that at one point in my life I had been bi-curious and was very clear that this was in the past and that I don't identify as bisexual. He then started referencing philosophy, parentheses, I think, therefore I am, and said that because I had those thoughts, I must be bi. The conversation Yeah, the conversation escalated when he said that technically our daughter wouldn't be safe with me. Safe is in quotations. I didn't say anything out of shock and we changed topics. But months ago, while I was pregnant during a similar conversation, there was music playing and he muttered something along the lines of me being able to allow myself to flirt with her. He parentheses, I'm also translating literally from French. Um, and when I asked him to repeat himself, he didn't. At the time, I convinced myself I must have misheard. Now, looking back, I feel like I heard him clearly. The more I think about it, the more disturbed I feel. I don't understand his logic at all. By that reasoning, since his mother is heterosexual, he wouldn't be safe either, which obviously makes no sense. I don't know if he meant this seriously or I don't know if he meant this seriously or thought he was joking, but either way, it feels like a serious line was crossed. I want to talk about it with him, but before I do, I'd really appreciate outside perspectives. I have to say something. I don't know. I just don't know how to go about it.
My face. I don't know.
Yeah, the top
This.
comment, you're not incestuous. That's freaking disgusting on his part.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And at
What
the
if?
time of screenshotting this, which was January 24th, it was only 4 days old. So this was like
Ugh.
recent. This was
That's.
literally happened in January.
I feel like, yeah, topical for the moment we're in as well,
Yeah.
because
Being very uncomfortable with anyone being, I mean, because what she pointed out, like if straight person had a kid.
that's the thing. But like, my initial gut reaction is like, leave this person. Your daughter is not safe around this person.
Yeah, I think he's projecting onto her.
People who think that queer people, that trans people are going to sexually violate children tend to be straight people who secretly want to violate children.
Yes. Say it louder for the people in the back.
Like,
Okay. Going off on a little side note, which not really because we're talking about pedophiles, the Epstein files.
yes,
There was the only person that was trans or queer in those files were victims.
exactly.
So I don't I don't that's all I have to say on that. They were the only ones that were on there were victims. So, and they did not listen to the trans woman that came forward because she's trans. So,
Well, I didn't listen to any of the women who came forward, hence
yeah. I just
hence
remember
the
listening to that
problem.
one specifically and I was like the way that like the wording was, I was like, "Oh, they're just blaming it on her because she's trans." That like
Yeah,
that's why it happened. And I was like,
it's an
"Okay."
easier blame shift. But yeah,
Yeah.
also, I kind of agree that like if you thought you were bi, you're probably still a little bit bi.
Yes.
Like
Yes. I
I'm
have had a lot of those thoughts and I'm like even even though I have never dated a woman or like been with one, I'm like I have the thoughts.
exactly.
So, I'm
I'm
like I
like
know I am.
we're probably what was it? I was watching something yesterday. I forget the name of this musical comedy duo, but I will have to look them up and put them in the notes. But you
Okay.
probably already know them. They seem like the people think we're straight, but we're not straight. Um, and she had a lyric. She was like, I used to think that everyone was baseline a little bit gay because, and I knew this was true because I liked girls, but I was straight. I'm like, yeah.
Literally me in college, my freshman year. Yeah.
Yeah. And nothing wrong with that because like it is a spectrum and it's like a
Mhm.
personal preference. It's about the wine and not the label, if you will. But
Ah,
yeah,
yes. I love
if
that from Schitt's Creek.
from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is God, just so worrying that someone would say like imply that with your own child
Yeah.
they wouldn't be safe with you because like that is and if I'm so grossed out when men say that particularly because like historically um children are not safe with straight men. I think that Epstein files proves that really well. Um that like the it's just not like children are not safe with them by
Yeah.
and large. Like not I don't know. At this point,
Like people say
so
it's not all men, but it's always a man.
yeah, and at this point I'm like I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sad, right? Like so I didn't go digging in the Epstein files releases myself because
Mhm.
that's probably not great for my mental well-being,
Yeah.
but I know like for example Deepak Chopra was mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files saying some really eerie shit. And that's someone whose books I
Mm.
have read, whose like meditation programs I have downloaded and done. And
Yeah. I mean, I know
uh,
exactly what yeah. That's I did
yeah,
not hear about that one.
but yeah, that was he was in there. And then this thing, like I am sad about it. I'm disappointed, but I'm not
Yeah.
surprised because at this point, any single man I know, you
Mhm.
could be like, you know what, he actually abused someone, and I would be like, okay, I believe it.
Yeah.
Like that's the level to which I have lost faith in not just individual men, but also in our society's ability to hold men accountable for doing the shit they do.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Especially the accountability part because the fact that so many people have defended men that have done stuff like what's his face from that 70s show and Ashton Kutcher
Oh my gosh.
and them like literally writing letters defending I don't remember his name but the guy with the curly hair
Yeah, the guy who
and
played Hyde on that 70s
yes
show. Let me look.
and yeah it's unfortunate like they're friends and he's like but that makes me think that Ashton Kutcher and him like dealing with all the human trafficking stuff I'm like is that a show like because I'm sorry but like someone can be your friend and if they do something bad like you can also condemn them you
Yeah,
know
Danny Masterson, right? So that was the name of the
yes
actor.
hmm
And he's, let's see. PBS NewsHour as of 2023. So this is an old story.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah.
But I just saw
But
something
he
recently.
was sentenced in 2023 to 30 years to life in prison for the rapes of two women. And the drama,
Yeah.
right, was that a lot of his co-stars, including like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, written like letters in defense of just like his
Yes.
personality.
And the letters
Like,
came out like they I guess they weren't expecting the letters to like be circulated. And I saw something that like Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis had like been in hiding following the backlash.
yeah, which I get. So I'm a survivor of sexual assault when I was a child, and
I'm so sorry
I'm
that
not.
happened to you.
Thank you. I'm not alone. I literally I feel like every couple months I meet someone else who's like, yeah, something happened to me when I was like 7, and I was like, oh, sorry, like same,
Yeah.
like of course, I'm so sorry, but it's really common. It's really common. It's like I don't I guess I can
Yeah.
look up the stats, but it's like 3 out of 5
Hmm. That's
women.
well, I guess I was still a child, but I was a teen.
Mhm.
And it was like more of a grooming situation with someone who
Whatever
was
the
my supervisor.
situation, that's not good. I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, I was 16 and he was 25.
If you're listening to this and you're like, what are the chances that two girls who are friends and have a podcast together, both were victims of childhood sexual abuse? Just like talk to literally like one friend about it, and I guarantee they're going to have a story as well. And
Yeah.
I think that's why the Epstein files are such like a lightning rod for so many women right now, is because it is like a huge slap in the face, because for years I think a lot of us saw our abusers go without consequences,
Yeah.
um, or without like many consequences, right? Or without like,
We're acknowledging that they did anything.
yeah, and we as the victims often end up suffering. So my case, it was someone in my family, and so I lost a lot of my extended family. Like I just completely lost contact with them
Yeah.
because some of them believed me, and some of them thought that like it's the same line, well, you can't trust them, they're manipulating you, they're just looking for attention.
Yeah,
And
because a child is gonna manipulate. They're the one. They're definitely the one that's the manipulator.
of
Like I
course
don't know
I
how old
can't.
you were, but like a child, no. Like I didn't even
Yeah.
recognize what happened to me until like years later because I
Hmm.
was so infatuated. But I was a teenager. Like I didn't know what was going on. People think teens can like do all this stuff and I'm like, "No, I was
People think
15."
teen girls can do all this stuff, and then if a
Yeah.
guy is like 25 and like rapes someone, they're like, oh, he's just a kid, he didn't know any better.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my
No.
gosh, no.
No, he's
But
25
now we have the
now.
Epstein files, and we're like, look at this evidence. Look at how many people spoke out about this. Look at how many times it's come up, and how much like actual written records you have. Where if they
Yeah.
were talking about robbing a bank, it would 100% be enough to bring charges and convict.
Yeah. Oh, if it was about banks and money, of course. But
But
they want to save all of the embryos but not the actual living children.
it's just,
God
and I think
forbid.
it makes me so angry and also like not surprised. I'm like, of course, okay, so we knew that this was happening
Mhm.
small scale.
And this is only half the files that were released. They're like
I
3 million
cannot
more
imagine.
pages.
I can't imagine.
I know.
And then we're all just like faced. We all have to look at it and be like, yeah, okay, so
Not
this is
million. I think it was
happening.
3,000. Sorry, I said million.
It
3,000 more pages.
might as
It's
well be a
still a large
million.
amount.
Might as well be. But
Yeah.
like, of course we're angry because like, I don't know. I think all of us kind of were like, well, if I only had evidence, if I only had proof, like that was the problem, right? We didn't have proof. We didn't have anything written down. We didn't have any records. It was just our word against theirs. And now it's like, no, we've got records and it still doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. It's,
Which
I
I don't
mean,
know why we're surprised because the laws were made by like the law against what is the law? It's
what would
funny.
be
It's
the
called
law?
Megan's Law,
Oh,
right? Is
hello.
the one that created a register of sex offenders,
Oh, okay.
right? That law was passed in 1996. And that law doesn't even take sex offenders off the streets. It doesn't make sure that they're put in jail. It just says that you have to put your name on a list if you have been convicted of
It's
sex
like the
offenses.
least they should do. Like the bare minimum. I mean, I'm not surprised. Like I don't want this to be like this isn't like a man hating rant, but it's just like, are we surprised that they want to do the bare fucking minimum?
No, and
Like,
are we surprised that it took until 1996 for the bare fucking minimum to become a law?
no,
But it's
no,
like the laws are made by these people. These are the people who are doing it, men with power. And the more power men have, the more they, it seems like the more they want to get away with. So, of course, why would they make a law that says that if you, you know, sexually assault someone, that you have to go to jail for a certain amount of time? Or if you said, like, they're just like, you
yeah,
know, put your name on a list, go about your life. And then even then, a lot of times they will argue and be like, oh, he shouldn't have to put his name on the list because he's got such a bright future. And it's like, it's literally the bare minimum. Literally, we're just saying, you did this, you were convicted, you don't have to serve time, you don't have to go to jail, you don't have to pay a fine, even. Just put your
people
name
should
on the fucking
know
list so
that you
people know.
committed a crime.
And it's not like you wear a badge or anything. Like someone would still have to go look you up. So your
Yeah,
actions would have to imply that you
yeah.
might be on the list. And then they would go cross check and be like, oh, yeah, they're a creep.
Mm-hmm. There was literally, I was listening to a, a different podcast about true crime because I just cannot stop. Um, little plug, it's True Crime with Kendall Ray, and it's oh my gosh, you guys need to stop. And it's Mile Higher, high wait, high Mile Higher Media. Wow, that made me confused for a second. But I'll have to look up the girl's name, but it was this university student, and she had met someone her senior year, and he lied about his age, he lied about his name, lied about everything. She didn't find out until like she saw his ID on accident, and it had a completely different name. She was like, "Oh my god," because it said he told her he was 28, he was 37. And she's like 21, 22. And yeah, and then she looked him up, found out he is a registered sex offender and had also been convicted of assault and battery. And he ended up killing her. He killed her. Like, and the campus police, that story made me so mad because the campus police literally, the guy that was in charge of her case didn't even look him up. And if anyone would have looked up this guy in that police department, they would have saw that he was a registered sex offender and had already been convicted of assault and battery. He had been in and out of prison for years. And they just did not take her seriously at all. Her and her mom both were calling constantly. And one day he brought a gun to her campus and like kidnapped her and killed her. And that's the short version. But it just goes to show that like people will try to see the good in the worst people just because they think, oh, they're being dramatic. They're like, oh, that girl's being dramatic. It's just her ex-boyfriend. No, this guy was lying to her from the start about literally everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, so we can put it in the show notes, if anyone wants to listen to that, because that was a really I won't say good because it's sad, but it was
If you
it,
like
it
true crime, it's good.
yeah, it was a very enlightening story, and it also they touch very much on the victim. So like she's like the main focus. They don't like to give the perpetrators a lot of airtime. Um and yeah, so it was really good in that respect. But
Yeah. I
we've
used to
kind
work on the college campus and I had every so often, I'd be like, well, what's going on? Like, why are you struggling in your classes? Why aren't you showing up to class? And I'd be like, someone's stalking me. And it
I
didn't happen.
hate
I won't say it happened a lot, right? Like, I'm not the counseling center. I'm just the academic advisor. So people don't come in to complain to me. But when that happened, it was almost always the same scenario where like the campus police are like, we can't do anything. Like, there's nothing that we can do unless something happens first, which is, bless you, like that is a huge, I mean, like, I like that we live in a country where you can't be arrested because someone thinks you might commit a crime someday. I like that about our country. I don't think you should be able to be arrested because someone
yeah.
thinks you might commit a crime someday. And also, like, the way that our criminal justice system treats violence against women does nothing to protect women.
Mhm.
Like,
Completely agree.
there's no way to protect them even before something happens. Like, you can get a restraining order that they like are supposed to follow, but like already this person is not
Breaking the law.
not obeying the law.
Yeah. So it's a piece of paper, but ugh, I I realize we've strayed a lot from
Yeah, from the,
the
from the
Reddit.
question.
I
No, but
know.
like,
And the question was the main question.
is she
Actually, it wasn't the main
overreacting?
question. They were
No.
just looking for advice. Yeah, because it's an advice column. So, like
No.
you said at the beginning, leave him.
Leave him immediately. Take your daughter far, far away.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's definitely projecting. If it's not projecting, I'm wondering like what else is going on in this man's head.
Yeah, someone was like, by that logic, then if he's straight, then his mom wouldn't, like, he wouldn't have been
Yeah,
safe around his mom. And I'm like, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. You don't
and that
know.
is true.
But
Yeah, we don't know that. But that would mean like literally every parent that has a child of the opposite sex, if they are straight, is a danger to their child. And that's definitely not the case.
it's
Obviously,
not
like,
the case. No, but
obviously,
yeah,
like,
I just am like, if someone's thinking that way and if someone's talking that way, because we
mhm,
all have inside thoughts, right? Like, they happen sometimes.
that.
But no, like, yeah, that's a big red flag with flashing lights on it for me at
Yeah,
least.
I agree. I I think it's definitely a red flag.
I
For
also
the
have, I want
relationship
to say I
itself,
also have a very low threshold for red flag tolerance.
yeah,
Like, for me, I'm like if they show you who they are, I think you should assume that that is a correct interpretation and then
yeah.
move on with your life.
I think I'm less tolerant now because with my ex, I was a little too tolerant. Like it literally took me 2 months to actually. I'm sorry.
That's
It
okay.
literally
I think your dog just was like, yeah, you really should have been less tolerant of your ex.
it's the puppy. She's like not wanting to deal with her. Oh, it took me 2 months to actually like fully break up with him. Like after he cheated. So I get it. I am like not I mean I was not uh like, oh, this like, it really taught me like that it's hard to break something off even when the line that you said you wouldn't let someone cross and they cross it and you're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do now." Cuz it's so crazy in that whole whirlwind. I do want to get into that whole story at some point cuz that's just a bonkers story.
I can't wait to
Um,
hear it.
but yeah, like, and there were so many red flags that I just, like, I didn't ignore, but acknowledged them, brought them up, and then he said he was like, "Oh, I won't do that anymore. I'll change." And then like things kept happening. So people should
Yeah,
learn from me and not ignore that. Or well,
I think that we need to like as a society, I think we've learned to recognize a lot of red flags, right?
yeah,
But we have not yet agreed on like the number of red flags that need to pop up for you to be like, nope, right? Because for
yeah,
me, it's like one red flag. But I know for a lot of people, it's like, well, okay, like I told them about this and they said they're working on it, but then something
hmm
else comes up and then something else comes up. And it's like, well,
it was
they're
4
working on
years
all
of
these
red
things
flags.
and everyone everyone has things to work on. And I'm just like, mm. I'm like, I don't know. I just have a very, I mean, like, I've got my family, right? And my family has red flags all over the place. And I love them and they're my family. So I will keep them in my life and figure out what to do and like stay by them while they work through stuff. But if I'm just meeting someone, or if it's like a guy and we just start dating, or if it's someone I start working with, I'm like, we have this many red flags already. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, I was very like when I was dating, because I was single for 4 years after my last relationship. And I've been in this relationship now for a little over a year in my current one. And for those 4 years, it took me a really like it took me a little bit to get out of that mindset of like just ignoring stuff. And then I became a little it became kind of ruthless. Like at the first sign I was like, no, I'm gonna drop you.
Yeah.
And when I would listen to other people and give people a little more of a chance, it would just prove to me like just it took longer. I was like, why did I listen to you and give this person another chance? Like I didn't like I knew that this person wasn't worth my time, but I listened to you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that the coaching I do in my life coaching practice, I call it good girl deprogramming because I think there is a mentality that a lot of women have. I don't I don't think you can say like especially white women, but like it's maybe different based on like cultural experience and background that we're supposed to be so understanding
Yeah.
and we're supposed to be like helpful and considerate. And so there's a part of us that's like, well, like, okay, I've seen this red flag, I've seen this red flag, but still, would I be overreacting if
Mhm.
I ended it or if I just cut them off or if I was, pretty brutal about laying out, like, hey, this happened once. If I see it happen ever again, I'm out and like just held
Yeah.
to that in our relationships with romantic partners and our relationships with family and our relationships with bosses. Like, when you do that, I think the reality is that you are labeled difficult. Just like the woman in the in the podcast you were talking about, people assume you're
Yeah.
overreacting. People
Ugh.
assume you're being a bitch or unreasonable or your standards are
Yeah.
too high. And you are going to be perceived as kind of difficult
Mhm.
if you do hold people accountable.
I know I
And
was when I was dating for sure. It made
yeah,
some men angry. I didn't even fucking care. I did not care.
but it's like, gosh, it's better to be difficult than like with someone for years who's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think it's better to be difficult. Like for me, a lot of this comes up in workplaces for me and for a lot of my clients. Like we let our bosses get away with shit that's just not okay because it's like, oh, well, like, am I going to quit my job over my boss being racist sometimes? Am I going to quit my job over my boss repeatedly, like, saying sexist things or
I
things that are
actually
just
did
like
quit a job because of that.
sometimes you do. And how good
It
did
was
that
just,
feel?
it had gotten to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore.
Hmm.
It was my first job out of college. He also expected so much of me and like the two other people that worked there. It was like a little studio gym, and it was only personal training. So like you couldn't go in. It wasn't like a commercial where you can like go in like and have a membership, you know. So you had to have an appointment. And even if we didn't have like people training, he wanted us to get there at 9 and like do other shit for him. And I'm like, I'm not getting paid for this. Like, why am I here? And it was just, I just was like, anyway, that's a whole different part. But he definitely was racist, for sure. But he was also super sexist. I was the only one woman that worked there, and I was also 22. So with like, I mean, the other two guys were also in their 20s, but like, he hired me right out of college, and I was the only woman working there, and it was so interesting because like he would always make like little comments about like women and stuff like that, and like literally said something about like how if he had a daughter she would wear like a chastity belt, and I'm like,
Once again, men who say shit like that can't be trusted around women.
exactly. And so the final straw for me was when he told, because I was fed up already, and he was trying to like explain something to me, and I was like, I don't care in my mind. So I just said, I was like, I just don't understand. And I just like said that because I just didn't, I was just so done at that point. And he was like, I'm not surprised. Like you have something, he said, you have too much estrogen to understand. Yeah, to understand what I'm saying. So,
Ugh.
and it was that moment that I was like, I am done. I'm like, I did put in a 2 weeks because I wanted to be able to leave on some good footing, but I did decide in that moment that I was leaving. Yeah. And I remember telling my dad that, and he was supportive of me quitting that job. My mom was the one who was the one that was being weird about it. And she was like, well, like we all go through that, those kinds of experiences. And I don't think she would say that now. Um, I mean, it has been almost 10 years since that happened, but it was just so crazy. Like the one person I thought would like understand and be angry with me was like basically like, oh, like it happens to all of us in the workplace. Like it could have been worse.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? I remember exactly where we were because I was so, it just like stuck in my head. We were in a Panera, and I was eating that stupid bread bowl.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm getting hungry.
I know. Love me some snacks.
Yeah. No, I think there is something to that. Like, there's an older generation of women in the workplace that are like, you just have to deal with it if you want to
Yeah.
keep your job, if you want to keep going. And it's like, well, do we? Because
Mhm.
if no one will work for these assholes,
Yeah.
then they will go out of business. And then you can start your own personal training company in
Mhm.
their empty storefront, which they weren't able to
Yeah.
sustain because their employees all quit or no one wanted to work with like the racist, sexist
I
trainers.
know. Well, because he would say stuff like that in front of clients. And I was just like, how were people not uncomfortable with this? It was so weird. It was so weird. Like, yeah.
Hmm.
That was like one of the weirdest job experiences for me ever. And it
I'm
was like
glad
my,
you're out of it. I'm glad you left it.
oh yeah. Like there are like jobs that I've had since then have taught me like that people will stand up for you. Um, but since he was the owner and there was like nothing holding him back and there was no HR or anything, it was like a free for all. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even if there is HR, sometimes HR is like HR's job is to protect the company.
Yes.
And sometimes HR will protect the company by holding people in the company accountable for what they do. But a lot of times, HR will protect the company
Yeah.
by getting you to leave the company so that they can continue on and do what they've been doing. And I think it's really important that we practice taking a stand when you hear
Hmm.
something that is a little bit of a red flag, because if you you find out really quick if this is someone who is willing to kind of accept responsibility and grow and change,
Hmm.
or if this is like a whole culture that is just not a good fit for you,
Yeah.
which is, I guess, a nice way of saying like a very racist. I think a lot of times we talk about like a toxic workplace culture when what we mean is just a bunch of people who work together who all think it's okay to make racist jokes.
Yes. Well, I mean, so I lived in that at that time I was in Greenville, South Carolina, and that city, like in just state, like that area, it's so racist. And so just all of the ists and isms, you know? And I think that was part of it, was just like the area, it was just so common. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I just, ugh, I hate it. I mean, I loved the area because it was gorgeous. And there were some good people, but then there was a lot that I was like, this is not my vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, I've lived in a couple different places, and I don't think I've been in a place that isn't full of the isms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this one it was just so common that like I maybe it's because like my ex-boyfriend's family, like they were also just so vocal about it. Maybe that's why I feel like it was so common because I was just hearing it all the time. But um yeah.
Yeah. I thought I was moving when I moved from like Tallahassee, Florida to like the New York area, like the tri-state area. I was like, "Oh, it'll be great. It won't be like people will be more progressive. It's like a blue state, right?" So you kind of think that things will be different. Um, and I had to like leave a text thread from my a place I work today because they were making racist jokes, and I was like, "Did you guys honestly just say that? Like, did we really just laugh react to this GIF that they posted? Everyone's okay with this?" And I was like, "All right, I'm out of the group chat. I'm not quitting as of now, but like, this is not something that's okay."
Yeah.
And I think it would be a mistake um, for all of us to assume that like a blue state means that there's not racism or
Mhm.
sexism,
Yeah.
because
That
or
would be just
that
that would
red
be
state means that there's more of it. It's like it's around. I think the big difference is that like I think we talked about this last time, that there's not one party that's like on the side of the people. It's more
no,
like
and it's
there's a
true.
party that
It's
has
true.
decided that it is good for them to campaign on these issues, and a side that has decided it's good for them to campaign against these issues like DEI and trans kids being able to play sports at school or use the bathrooms that they feel comfortable with. And the reason that they feel like it's good for them to campaign on this stuff is because a lot of people in our world are really blankist. Whatever the ist is, there's enough of them that most places are still like a 50-50 split. And it keeps people fighting each other, and it keeps people donating, and then we don't actually see a lot of change in the situations,
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
which is stressful.
Um
Okay. My last question for you before we leave is I was on Threads. I've just recently bailed from social media for the most part.
Same. Yeah, so if
Um,
anyone wants to like get in contact with us,
this is the
email
place.
phone number and here. Yeah, don't text
Yeah.
me actually.
Um, yeah, like also don't call me.
Yeah,
But yeah,
email's fine.
I was on there and someone was like, I like they found out that their therapist was MAGA
I would
and they were
literally shit myself. I'm sorry if
uh,
that's TMI, but like,
I don't think you should be able to be a therapist if you choose to be MAGA. I just don't think there's a
yeah.
match there. And I wanted to hear what you thought because you are a therapist. And I'm like, well, anyone can be a life coach. So I know there's MAGA life coaches who are like, you know,
That like makes me cringe so hard. Like someone labeling themselves as someone helping others in any respect and not seeing the inhumanity in being MAGA. So yeah, I don't think obviously if someone can get through grad school, like technically you can be MAGA and a therapist. Would you be able to get through the program and genuinely believe all the stuff they're teaching you about inclusivity, about like working with different demographics? Because I know my program was very heavy on cultural diversity and like being able to be like culturally aware of
mhm.
of different groups and knowing that like your experience is not everyone's experience, you know? And I feel like that's one thing that's really hard for people that are MAGA, not Republican, but MAGA specifically have a hard time with is be like putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And so yeah, I like I said, technically someone can get through the program. If they can get through the program and they're MAGA, they yes, technically they can be a therapist and MAGA, but getting through that program, I mean, I think it would be hard for them to genuinely, unless they faked it. I don't
Yeah,
know,
like,
but
do you think they would fake it and just be like, okay, like, I'll say the answers I know I'm supposed to give on this exam or in this like observation, but really,
yeah, if they have an like an alternative, like a or a what's it called, like a different motive, like, and it's just to be in that field, and maybe they're I don't know, trying to like influence people on their own views, then yeah, I could see someone being manipulative. And because I mean, there are therapists that are not good and that are manipulative and that are do have they are diagnosable, you know, in not in they're pathological and not in a good way, not in a way that's like, oh, you have like you have depression. No, I mean like in the way that's harmful, like to a lot of people if you are trying to be their therapist. Um, and so yeah, I think someone could manipulate their way through a program and be like, because we all know they have like Christian counselors and like the Christian therapy. Um, and I'm sure that those programs are very different than the one I went through. Even though to be accredited at a university, I think they have to have the diversity in there.
well, they did, right? But that's the thing is like now
But
in
yeah, because
some
of
states, like, well,
DEI.
you're not really allowed to have that anymore.
Yeah, because that was they did that after yeah, because he was I almost said hired. Trump was hired. I almost anyway, no, yeah, because he was elected the year I graduated.
Yeah,
So
I know that
my
at the
program
school that
skirted by with that.
yeah, when I went through my master's in education, there was a big cultural diversity component to it
Hmm.
because that was the assumption is like you're going to be working and you're going to be helping all these students from all these different backgrounds and you need to
Yeah.
be able to understand mostly that like you don't understand. You just need to be able to like
Yeah.
have that humility of like you don't
Mhm.
know exactly where they're
Yeah,
coming
and
from
to
or
be
what
able
their
to
experience
acknowledge
is
that you
like.
don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, it worries me to be like, oh, I don't know that that is part of the curriculum anymore. I don't know that's allowed
Mhm.
to be in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And that worries me out. But yeah, I don't think that if you vote for someone whose platform is like trauma,
Oh my god,
they
yes.
should be
If
able
you're
to keep their license as a therapist.
no, if you're saying you're a trauma-informed therapist or and you work with people with PTSD, how are you going to be able to do that being MAGA? I just it blows my mind when people say like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't let um politics influence therapy." I'm like, therapy is politics.
A lot of what I
Our
yeah, a lot of
lives
what's
are
happening in therapy
politics.
is trying to unwind the damage that like our current system is doing to people.
Yes, I feel like I need to go to therapy because of what's going on in our country and in the world. So how is therapy not political when the
Mhm.
politics are affecting people's mental health? I made a post on my Instagram about that specifically because I was just like you can't say that mental health isn't political. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah. All
Like,
right.
ugh,
So we're agreed. The life coach and the therapist agree.
enraged.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah. So I will see you again next week. And remember, Danielle and I are off social media except for here on YouTube. Yeah. So
I
if
know.
you want us, if you want to learn more, comment here and I'll post. I have an email list where you can keep up with me. Danielle, do you have an email list?
I do. Yeah, it's on my blog.
Okay, we'll put that link here. So if you want to
Yeah.
follow along with us and hear more from us,
Yeah, I might
that's
start posting more on YouTube because I feel like YouTube is not nearly as much of a like
shit
black
show.
hole of stuff. Yeah. Like it can be, but my side that I'm on is not. So I'm like, no. So yeah,
We'll
mine's
be
mostly
here.
bad stories and true crime. But
All right.
yeah.
Well, have a great day. It was awesome talking to you, and we'll see you again next week.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.